So with Commander Legends being out for approximately, 2 weeks, I wanted to start taking a look at some of the jankier or less played commanders, and I think none exemplify the underrated statue more than Alena and Halana, the Kessig Rangers. Well, they're an archer and a scout. So there's a couple different kinds of creature ramp that you could have in this deck. There's the typical like Sakura Tribe Elder. There's the Mana Dork based stuff. I would definitely suggest Elysian Caryatid. Seems like the most obvious and most powerful of them, because while it only taps for 1 despite costing 2, later in the game it's a 2. It taps for 2 mana of any color, so that's just better. Additionally, you could use things like Oracle of Moldiah to get lands out, but honestly, I'd say Wayward Swordtooth is just an even better version of that in this deck, because it's already got 3 mana for a 5/5. Even if you don't attack with it, that's just better in this deck. You want big creatures. Just like with Selvala, playing big creatures, drawing you cards, and getting you free mana, well, not free mana, but a return on your investment, as you will. Additionally, Karametra's Acolyte acts very similar to Selvala in a lot of situations. Spell ramp, you're probably going to want the typical, curve, but I would definitely say include some early drops, because your commanders cost 4 and 5 each, so you're probably going to want to be casting that early ramp. Despite Skyshroud Claim being the same mana cost as one of your commanders, it's still totally worth it to run, because, it gets you 2 lands. And that's going to be even better for later, especially if someone manages to kill one of your commanders. Recursion and Tutors, you can use the typical Regrowth and Eternal Witness for recursion, but I would say on top of that, Fierce Empath and Court of Calling are fantastic in this deck. You're going to be generating a lot of mana, and whether you're fishing the creature out of your deck directly with Court of Calling, or just tutoring it up and then playing it later with Fierce Empath, that seems perfect. You could also use Tooth and Nail or something along those lines. I'd also suggest Felden of the Third Path. While he's technically not recursion, he does give you tokens of stuff that you've already played. And since that creature enters the battlefield, then Alena can tap for the mana that that creature's power is. Obviously, since you're casting a lot of creatures, Beast Whisperer seems perfect. Greater Good, while it does sacrifice a creature and make you discard 3 cards, keep in mind, if you're sacrificing a creature with great enough power, that's not going to be much of a downside. It's going to be kind of like a Faithless Looting or something like that, which is additionally in this deck. Vivian Monster's Advocate is fantastic for this deck as well, because not only can you get some card advantage by looking off the top with her ability, but also just the -2 can be a game ender, no joke. Faithless Looting, Garruk's Uprising, Growing Rites of Itlimoc, Guardian Project, these are all fantastic options, especially the Garruk's Uprising. It's a very recent card from M21. The passive, giving your creatures trample, is just gravy on top of the drawing you a card when it enters and drawing you a card whenever you do what you would normally do in this deck. Now, one of the best ways to go with this commander is the Combo-tastic Fun Time. In order to pull that off, you're going to need some things that can repeatedly untap Alena and get you an absurd amount of mana. Umber Mantle repeatedly untaps your creature. Staff of Domination, if you're getting Alena to tap for 5 mana or more, which is not hard. That's infinite mana right there. Sword of Parents has a bit of a lower threshold for going infinite, but still, totally worth it. Or you could also just start bouncing Great Oak Guardian. Instill Energy only lets you untap once, but sometimes that once is all you need. What do you do with this infinite mana? I'd suggest Brash Taunter and Heroic Intervention. Just bash your opponents to death. If you Heroic Intervention and then bash one of your creatures into oblivion, that's good night. You could also Kogla, the Titan Ape, bounce Halana to your hand repeatedly, and just play her again. With Terror of the Peaks on the field, that is done skis. Also, just use Temur Sabertooth and do something similar. Fun fact, if you bounce your commander, you can choose to put her into the command zone. If you have infinite mana, and you continually recast her, then cast Jessica Thrice Reborn, well, that's an instant win. Other instant wins include Walking Ballista, Retrofitter Foundry. While not directly infinite, not a direct win, if you do this prior to combat, untap it, and repeatedly create 4/4 constructs, repeat the process, you go to combat, that's game. Comet Storm and Aggravated Assault all work amazingly as well. The removal you're going to want in this deck, stuff like Terastodon, Hull Breach, Ram Through even, and of course Beast Within. Terastodon, despite casting 8 mana, come on, that's not going to be hard. And those are all the cards I would immediately suggest. There are far more that would be amazing in this deck, but those are just the stuff that, off the top of my head, would work amazing in this deck. If you enjoyed this video, let me know and I can make some more. Alright, bye.